Shalom. Before I begin, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Kakadash, the born city of apostles and elders, great millstone. I want to say Shalom to the Hakim teaching his word, throughout the four corners, and true sincerity. Back on that lesson through the spirit of Yah Bashem Yahushua, and Lord willing be edifying unto the elect of Yah Bashem Yahushua. Alright, the true name of God is Yahweh, which means he is or he exists. It is Yahweh. Alright, Yahweh. This is the true name of God. It's not just God, it's Yahweh. And the name of his son, who the world calls Jesus, is not his name. His name is not Jesus, it's Yahweh Shai. Alright. Yahweh Shai, which means he saves or he delivers. Okay. And the topic of this lesson, Lord willing be edifying, unto the elect. Alright. Of Yah Bashem Yahushua. This lesson is just going into, chastening. Alright, the chastening of Yah Bashem Yahushua. Alright. When we thinking about chastisement, alright, we have to think about what is the purpose of, chastisement. Alright, like, why is the Lord slack it? Slack it. Slack it. You have to think about why is the Lord, causing this, to happen? Why does it feel like, I'm getting beat, right? Why I feel like I'm catching more hell than usual. All right, when you think about chastisement, you have to think about it as growth, not just, the Lord just whooping my ass at the moment. All right, you have to think about it as growth, because how do men in general grow? All right, through hardship, all right, through chastisement, through lessons learned the hard way. All right, that's just how, we're wired. All right, it's not just, saying something, but we really understand something when we actually, go through it, and we discover things about ourselves while we're going through it. All right, what am I lacking in? I'm going through this, but what is being revealed? What is being brought out? What lesson is, being learned? Because once you go through something, it can expose certain things to you that you may have not seen before, but because the Lord is dragging you through this, chastisement, through this correction period, all right, because it may be a period of time the Lord chastising you. All right, and let's get the the definition. Slack you. All right, in the blue letter. All right, first I'm gonna read the verse. It's Proverbs 3:11. It says, "My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord Yahweh, neither be wary of his correction. For whom the Lord Yahweh loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth. All right, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding." So, and those verses go hand in hand. So once you get corrected, it says, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. So through that correction, are you able to get more of an understanding of yourself? Are you becoming more wise? All right, and those are things that we need, wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Because somebody can tell you something, but somebody can tell you something, but you won't understand it. All right. Okay, so through the chastisement and the correcting of Yah Bashem Yahushua, you can further understand what's been brought to you. Because a brother can tell you something like, bro, you do this and that, but you may not see it. But because the Lord chastised you, you not understand why that certain brother told you that, certain thing. Like, oh shit, I see what he's talking about now. All right, because sometimes you could be doing something, you may not know that you're doing it. You may not see nothing wrong with you doing till you get brought through it, right? When you go to chastening, a 4-on-4, call like Bashem Yahushua. All right, it is to say a discipline, a chastening, a correction. All right, discipline and correction. What does Etymon say? inflict trouble or pain on for the purpose of correction. The word is replaced to correct someone's behavior, to punish. All right, so we're being punished so we can be, corrected. All right, the Google says to of a rebuke or misfortune have a restraining or moderating effect on. It says to subdue. All right, to direct it was somewhat chastened by his recent flops. All right, so through getting chastened on purpose is for our correction, for us to reach a certain level or to be better at something, so we can be, more useful for the Lord. Okay, so never think of being don't ever think about you catching hell as, a negative point. All right, we have to think positively. All right, the Lord is doing this for our good, like it says. All right, despise not the chastening. For whom the Lord loveth, Yahweh, right? For whom the Lord Yahweh loveth, he corrected. So we want to be corrected, especially if we're going in a, wrong direction. We want the Lord to make sure that we're on point. And NLT says, "My child, don't reject the Lord Yahweh's discipline, and don't be upset when he corrected." So correct you, because our first, it's cardinal to our first go-to thought is to, when you're going through some shit, complain and, why I'm going through this. I don't want to go through this, Lord. Grudging and shit like that, right? That's really, but once you come into this wisdom and knowledge, right, you understand things on a deeper level. You have to be spiritual. You have to peep, right? You have to peep certain things. What is the Lord trying to tell me? All right, it says, for the Lord Yahweh corrects those he loves, just as the Father corrects a child in whom he delights. It says, joyful is the person who finds wisdom and the one who gains understanding. All right. And I want to bring something else too, because I was in the chat, I was talking to chat. It says, do men get better through hardship? It says, yes, hardship often makes men better. So that's why we also talk about the straight gate as well, because the chastening and the straight gate could go hand in hand. The point of a straight gate is it's basically like it's a path of difficulty. All right. And through those difficulties as men, it makes us better. So when we get through the end of it, we can be, it's almost as if the Lord is like shaving off the bad or purifying, like it says when gold is going through a furnace, taking out the impurities, all right, the dross, the things that's making us not reach our full potential. The Lord is taking those things away. So it says hardship tends to reveal and shape character. So the Lord is shaping us ultimately, right? To be like, to shaping us to what, though? To be like Yahweh Shai. All right. What is it? Conformed. What is it in Romans? There you go. Romans 8:29. It says, for whom he did foreknow, talking about the elect, he also did predestinate to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. So no one need part of the elect. The reason why we're getting chastised and we're going through hardship is to shape us, all right, to be like Yahweh Shai. All right, because we were all in the world, so we done picked up. We were all in the world, so we done picked up certain, bad, traits that needs to get taken away and off of us. So through this trip, the Lord is doing that, slowly, but surely. All right. Definitely, surely. Okay. It says, hardship tends to reveal and shape character when men face loss, failure, responsibility, or struggle. All right. You may lose certain things. You may fail at certain things, right? To build us up, it says resilience grows. Enduring difficulties builds mental and emotional strength, which is needed. Our mindset needs to be fortified while we're going through certain things. All right. Because you can't be weak. I should say put off the weak nature and to set aside those thoughts. All right. Let me get it right quick. It's like Exodus 14. 14, it says, let go from the immortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. So we have to put off those mortal thoughts and, put off the weak nature. But through the hardships and chastenings that we go through, the corrections and disciplines that we go through, all right, those things are happening. We're putting off the weak nature. All right, because for you to go through something and the first thing for you to complain, that's weak. All right, Lord trying to show you something, you complaining, that's weak. That's what women do. They start going through certain things and they complain. All right, that's a weak nature. All right, that's not a manly trait to complain anyway. Your whole mindset is to be a lot logical and spiritual, and lean upon Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. It says clarity develops, hardship strips away distraction and shows what truly matters. So that's another good point as well. All right, hardship strips away distraction and shows what truly matters. So because you may be worrying about one thing, all right, but you're not really seeing, all right, the bigger picture. Hence the chastening. Don't reject it. The Lord's trying to show you what truly matters. All right. It says discipline forms. Pain often forces better habits, boundaries, and self-control. All right. Again, being built up. All right. You can have better self-control. Temperance. The scriptures talk about be angry but sinning not. All right. It says humility and empathy deep in struggle makes men more understanding and grounded. Right. All right. Makes you more humble. All right. It says purpose emerges. Many men discover this direct direction only after being tested. All right. It says that said, hardship can also break a man if he avoids reflection, accountability, or support. The difference isn't the pain itself; it's how he responds to it. So that's very, very. That's heavy. All right, how do you respond? All right, through hardship. How you respond to pain? Because again, like I said, and also in Second Esdras, that you complain about things, right? But there's greater evils. Like we're about to go through worse things. All right, so if you can't handle what's being thrown at you now, you definitely won't be able to handle what's gonna get thrown at you, later. All right. Just like it. I was fine the whole day, but once I started doing the lesson, my nose want to start fucking with me. All right. And I did the nurses too. I said the chastening improvement. It says chastening can improve man only when it's understood and responded to correctly. So you have to respond to the chastening that the Lord is throwing at you in a correct manner. It says chastening, discipline, correction through consequences works because many men grow most through accountability and correction, not comfort alone. It said it confronts ego, correction, humbles pride, and forces self-examination and teaches responsibility. Actions finally have weight and consequence. It sharpens wisdom. Pain tied to a lesson tends to be remembered. See? Like I was saying earlier, all right, you get chastened, but a brother could be telling you something, but because the Lord put you through a certain scenario, all right, you remember that scenario and you remember that lesson. Now you grow. Now you're growing in wisdom. All right. It says, it sharpens wisdom. Pain tied to a lesson tend to be remembered. It builds self-control, discipline, trains self-resist, restraint, slocky, and judgment. It says it redirects purpose. That many men change course only after being corrected. All right. But chastening only helps if it's received rightly. That's very major. All right. I want to get one more precept. Make sure it makes too long. Grievous. Hebrews 12 and we'll start at 7. Well, I'm starting at 6. It says, for whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourges every son whom he receiveth. If he endure chastening, the Most High dealeth with you as with sons. All right, because, say you're a father, you have a son. All right, you whoop him because he did some shit. You trying to show him where he went wrong so he won't do it again. All right, it's just for what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not, but if he be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. So the Lord not chastening you for doing certain things, right? If you fuck up and you know you fucked up and the Lord ain't fuck you up, all right, he just lets you continue your life. Like, 2/3 of our people, they can do whatever they want, right? They will get judged later, but if the Lord's allowing you to continue in it and you not being corrected, all right, the Lord's not treating you like his son, like he's treating you like a heathen. All right, it says, furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us, and we give them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father's spirits and live? For they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. All right, so again, the Lord is doing this for our benefit, for our profit, because as I said earlier as well, we're being conformed and shaped, all right, to be like Yahushua, to be conformed, to be like him. All right, so you can't even complain while you're going through this. The Lord's trying to make you perfected to be like Yahushua, to be a part of the elect, and you're getting mad at that. Like that's why you have to, like I said, you have to know how to, like I said, I'm gonna read it. It says, "Be chastening when he helps if it's received rightly." So you have to understand. That's why we got the scriptures, man. You got to understand what's happening to you. But you only understand it when you read it and when you go through it as well. Because now you have the knowledge, right? You have the knowledge, but now you're going to gain the wisdom. You're applying that knowledge. It says, "Now, no chastening for this present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby." So again, in the beginning, it don't feel good. You don't even focus on that part. Really try to take heed of what's happening to you. All right, what needs to change? What is the Lord trying to show me through what I'm going through? All right, and you have to meditate upon it, because you're not gonna get it right away. Because again, you may not see it, but you have to pay attention. Like examine yourself. Like we say all the time, examine yourself. All right. Examine yourself the same way how we look at each other, we see certain flaws and we tell each other to build each other up. You have to help yourself too, for you can also help the next man, right? Because we are a body. Okay. With that alone, this lesson was edifying. We give our praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushua, Ba'ashim, Makakwadash, and the Bond City Apostles and Elders, Great Millstone, and Shalom to the Akim, teaching this word about the four corners, in truth, sincerity, Yakim, out here, Shalom.